it's working. Okay, you guys. So, hi. Coach Katie here. I uh I just made a whole video that I thought I was going live, and I'm not sure what happened. I'm new at this, so I apologize. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're late." I just stuck to my computer for half an hour, and nothing. It didn't go live, I guess. So I apologize. It's day one, so we're figuring this out. So I just changed to my phone. I did the whole thing on my computer, and then I don't. Obviously, it wasn't working because now this wasn't happening where I see people. Okay, hi. Sorry. Okay, like I said, we'll figure it out. We're in this together, right? So welcome. I'm Coach Katie. To do the same, hopefully, give you all the good information that I already talked at my computer camera for a while about. Maybe now that was a good rehearsal because now I can consolidate all my information. So welcome to my space. I know Coach Jen did a video earlier from the gym. I might do some from the gym, at some point. We'll see. But for today, thought it was appropriate that I did one from my house, and because I'm going to talk about things that you can if you are stuck at home or working from home, as it were. Since we're staying inside a little bit, going out less. Some ideas about like what that's going to do, for your body, and ways we can work with that. So, number one, sorry, I'm in my old video. I moved my coffee because I didn't want to knock it over, and now I want it back. So, good morning. Those of you who've seen me in the morning know this is how I coach, sipping my coffee. Also, like I said, I just talked like a long time. So sad. Okay, so we're working from home, kind of not getting out as much, which, flattening that curve, social distancing, all really good. But I have some homework assignments that I'm going to give to you. First homework assignment for this week, today, tomorrow, as long as we can, is to go for walks. That's it. 5 walk around your block. Get a little bit of movement in under your feet. Social distancing still works. You can stay far away from people, 6 feet. You can wave people in their yards. Listen to an audiobook or a podcast. Stay up on the news if you can. If you're on a call, take your call, walk around, a little bit of fresh air. Also, walking is basic human movement. It's super important. That's why it's so good for you, and it's good to keep doing it as much as you can. So, like I said, walk around the block, but do it regularly throughout your day. Again, while you still can, get that fresh air. There are ways that the system sort of removes waste from the system, and one of those ways is lymph, and one of the ways to work the lymph out of your system is walking. Just a nice getting that blood moving. It doesn't have to be like a crazy power walk. Olympic power walking is awesome. I think it's very weird and cool, but otherwise it's fine. Take a stroll, active recovery, excuse me, after your workout. I know Coach Jen posted those sprints this morning. So, as a way of recovering after you run around the park a bunch, then walk for a little bit. Like I said, rather than walking once and then sitting the rest of the day, get up, do it regularly. If you have other people in your household, take them with you. Get outside together, get that fresh air. That's gonna be So important for your mental health as well as your physical health. So keep doing that as much as you can. I know a lot of times if I am working through something and I'm just kind of staring at the paper, like if I'm writing or something, just getting up and walking around can be super helpful. It can sort of flip a switch or just bring a little bit, like I said, fresh blood. Along those lines, your second homework assignment is to get up every hour and do something, whether that's just moving your arms around, rolling your shoulders, having a mini dance party. Of you who know me or have done class with me know I'm all about just spontaneous dancing. Again, you're in your house. There might be somebody in your house with you. Invite them to your dance party. Like, hey, guess what? We have the coolest club in town. We're going to turn on a dumb song. Or it doesn't have to be dumb, something that you like. Listen to something fun. Again, getting that blood moving, that's especially important. Like if you can't get out for a walk, jump around, do something. Again, we're not thinking of this in terms of like a workout, but like in terms of moving around, losing some movement in that idea of like you wake up, maybe shower, whatever, you're inside, no judgment. You wake up, shower, breakfast, right to your computer, to your couch, to your bed. Like, we've lost walking to the metro and taking that, and then walking to the office, walking to your coworker's office several times a day. I've lost like walk around the yoga studio and the gym. So it's, those little bits that are so important that we got to keep making sure that you're shifting and moving around and doing what you can. Again, once an hour is great. If you're in the middle of a meeting and you're like, boss is going to be mad if I just start doing this, wait, it's okay. Like I said, I'm just going to give you some ideas of like how to do it. But, these aren't like, oh, you must follow this. This is a little bit of like some free for all. So, do what you can. Number 3, squat. I talk about this a lot, so some of you have heard me before. Oh no, I just gonna break my tripod. That's cool. I know we squat. I'm gonna move you down to the floor. Hi. These ankles are gonna be real weird and awkward. Like I said, already it's been a trial of figuring this out. So a trial of figuring out how to make this less awkward. It'll be a real journey. That'll be an interesting experiment. Day 1 versus day, however long this takes. Like maybe my videos will get great. So day 1 we're super awkward and weird, and they're gonna be terrible and late, and it's fine. Okay, back to squatting. Hang out in the bottom of a squat while you drink your coffee. Just taking some time to like get into my hips a little bit, taking some sips. While you're making your coffee, maybe you hang on to your couch. That's my couch right there. Maybe you hang on to that couch, dining room table, another person, maybe encourage them to do some squat. So that's your third homework assignment, is accumulate 5 minutes every day of squatting. And again, what I showed is a very passive hanging out at the bottom of the squat. I'm not super concerned about, I'm trying not to let my back round too much, but I'm kind of just hanging out. Maybe I get some back and forth. 5 minutes at once is intense. So that's why I said accumulate. Don't worry. If you can't do 5 minutes all at once, that's a lot. We'll work up to that. But that's, like I said, 30 seconds every couple hours. Maybe that's the great thing working from home. We'll all go barefoot all the time, and then we can really work on that ankle mobility and less shoe coffins. I don't recommend showing your feet to your boss unless you are a yoga teacher or coach. They probably wouldn't think that was funny or cool, but and I guess one of the perks of my job is that I'm bragging about not wearing shoes ever, and it's great. Okay, let's talk about sitting and what happens in the hips when we sit a lot. So in a sitting position, again, I don't know the best way to do this, but I'm kind of kneeling here. But you'll notice my hips are in flexion. So when I stand up, extension, flexion. So when I'm sitting, my hips are in flexion. Passive flexion, because I'm just kind of hanging out. And that I'm, they're just kind of there. And what happens is muscles at lots of muscles, but muscles like at the front of the hip, and they get shorter and sometimes weaker. I don't know why that's the symbol for weaker, but they can, because they're shortening, but they're not doing anything. So sometimes, shortening the muscle, I might be working the muscle if I say have a dumbbell in my hand. But with sitting, those muscles are getting shorter and maybe weaker. Maybe they were already weak. Longevity, long muscles don't mean they're stronger or weaker. So I'm not trying to say that those two things are the same. But I find oftentimes people who thanks, Jen. Jen said she's now sitting on the floor because she was sitting on the sofa. I'm trying to get rid of all the chairs in my house, but losing that battle. But that could be another thing with your moving around. Like if you are able to move your laptop later on this week, I thought I'll show you my standing desk setup, but it is being used by another person who is actually doing some work. So maybe he doesn't want to be in a video either. So that's fine. Well, but as we can trade places, and I could show you my standing desk setup. So for now, you get to hang out with me on the floor downstairs in my house. So the hip flexor muscles, there's a bunch of them. One of your quads passes over. Your TFL does a little bit of that. Your QL, which we do talk a lot about in the gym, and the psoas, which is a big one. I'm going to talk about. Oh, Jen, in my first video, one of the cats was right here on the couch, and she was just hanging out for a while, and then she left. Sorry, they're both upstairs hanging out there. Sooner or later, we'll get them in a video. Like I said, she was right there in my first video, but she's gone now. Sorry. Anyway, let's talk about tools. I'm going to show some ways to do these things with some household items, but again, if you are interested, this might be the time when you, because, you don't have that stuff that we have at the gym, it might be a good idea to invest, if you can, in some mobility tools. Let me show you my little stash over here. And this is like what my living room floor looks like all the time. I'm annoying like that. I just leave these things out a lot. We all know I'm a yoga tune-up fan. This is my favorite tool, the Coregeous ball. Again, you might have seen these at the gym and been like, I don't know what to do with it. So we are going to do some work with this, throughout the coming weeks. So when you go to CVS to get your toilet paper and hand sanitizer, you might get a little squishy ball like this. But you can order the Coregeous ball. You can order them at the Yoga Tune Up website or on Amazon too. I think that's from the Yoga Tune Up website as well. So again, one of my favorite tools. Sometimes when you pull them out at the gym and they're like this, like super deflated, that's me. That's the thing I'm going to show you today. Actually works a little bit better if it's a little less deflated, which is why I like this ball, because it has this little removable plug where you can blow it up and add air pretty easily without a bicycle pump, which sometimes you need if you get a playground ball. Yoga tune-up balls in their tote. This is lacrosse ball, 3 of them, 2 of them taped together would be that, and 1 lacrosse ball would be that. They're about the same size. These are, I think, a little smaller, but they're a little bit softer than lacrosse balls, which I kind of like. They're also a little grippier on your skin. One of the things that will come up and I talk about, and again, because we're rolling in our houses, and you have your own set, that it's often better to roll ball to skin versus over the clothes. Again, using the one in the gym, you're like, well, I don't know who touched this and when it was wiped off. Absolutely. But, if you're doing some stuff on your face, you want your own set. Helpful. And like I said, if you're like, oh, I don't want to lift up my shirt in the gym, I get it. But like, since we'll be in our own houses, you can do it and hide in another room so no one can see you. This is the Alpha Ball. You may have seen these in the gym. You can see the size difference. That's the Coregeous ball. That's the Alpha Ball. It's kind of like, I think it's a little smaller than a softball, but bigger than a baseball. So it's, I'm showing you my hand, like that's a thing. But I have smallish hands, but it kind of fits in my hand there. These are good for bigger areas. Like we're going to use this. I'm going to show you how to use this on your psoas today, but also really good for quads. Maybe some of your big glute muscles, hamstrings. I like it on the chest as well because it's to get after some of those pecs. It's a pretty good tool. You can definitely, get by with the smaller ones and the Coregeous ball. But if you're kind of like, oh, I want to, another tool, this is, I highly recommend this one. It's pretty useful. And then, I have lots of there are other types. If you just go to Amazon and look up, massage balls or, fascia release tools, there are all sorts. These are just some random ones that I have. I have other ones in my cabinet upstairs. But these are just kind of some other random bits that I have around that I use. Another tool, yoga block. You can buy it on Amazon, but you can also use a book. Well, it's not quite the same size. This book needs to be a little bit bigger, but you could stack a bunch of books. And for some of the, for what we're going to use this for today, you can stack some books and use that. That would be totally fine. Okay, so I was talking about hips and hip flexors. So they can get, like I said, they can get a little shortened. We're going to talk about the psoas. We're going to roll that out. So for that, Coregeous ball or Alpha Ball, this is the Alpha Ball, is going to be super useful. You can do it with 2 lacrosse balls. One is a little bit harder, but you can, make it work. You could also do it with a pillow. You can roll up a small pillow I can show you that as well. If you're like, well, I wanted to stay, but I ordered my balls and they're not going to come until next week because, of course, everybody's ordering everything and supply chains are slow. Welcome to the floor. Now we're on the floor. Okay. Adjusting my tripod. Yay. Guys, this is fun. Okay. So, I gotta take you back to the couch for a moment. So, front of the hip. This is my hip bone right here. That sort of pointy part that that you can feel. That's I kind of like to. I don't know if you can hear that. I don't know how well this microphone works, but when I tap it with my fist, I can feel like that's bone, and that's like if I tapped, my bicep, it's soft. I can tell that that's muscle, or like the same thing if you tap your quads, you can tell like that's not a bone. Find the bone of the hip, and use your hands. Like, again, we're doing this at home, so, nobody's watching. Or if you're later on, you're like, I think I found it, but I'm not sure. Put a little video in underneath and I can watch later and we can try and figure it out. It's a little bit harder long distance, but we'll make it work. Okay, so in between your hip bone, or just right on the inside, that's where I want to put the ball. Okay, now we can go back to the floor. Okay, so I got the ball. I'm going to push my other stuff out of the way. So I'm going to put it right inside that hip bone. And then I'm going to lay down on it. Now, I'm going to show you my butt, but for a reason. This is me laying on the ball, and notice that my hip is lifted. So what I want to do is try and even out my hips. So notice that difference there. That's me lifted away from the ball. This is me actually putting my body weight on the ball. All right. So I'm going to start on my forearms here. The idea here is we're asking the muscle to soften and like let go a little bit, because if it's, a little tight, it might be a little agitated. We're just gonna, just breathing. So with rolling and everything, breath becomes very important because I'm pushing on a pretty sensitive place. Psoas is tied into that nervous system in a pretty strong way. And so I want to make sure that I'm not just punching at it and like being like, relax. The idea is I want to let it soften, so that I want to make sure that I'm putting pressure on it, but I also want to make sure that I'm breathing, that I'm softening my face and my shoulders. You'll notice I dropped my voice a little bit. That I'm just continuing to kind of try and lengthen the breath here, so that as I'm softening around this, I'm telling my nervous system through my breath that it's okay, that there might be some pressure here and it's slightly uncomfortable, but that I'm saying, hey, it's okay, we're safe. This is, we're allowing that to happen. And like continuing to just say, this is, keep checking in. If it starts to feel like too much, or you feel overwhelmed, you're like, I can't do this anymore. That's when it's time to come off and you're done. If you're like, this feels okay, I'm going to kind of sit with it and explore these sensations. Stay with it 2-3 minutes. You can do the same thing again. Getting awkward with that gorgeous ball. So same spot, same idea that I want to try and get up on top of that ball. Starting on the forearms, as you feel comfortable. Or those of you, so I roll out this area a lot because my psoases get really tight really fast. So that, I can often come down onto my hands or my forehead down pretty quickly because I've worked up to that spot. But that's not, again, don't just like shove your body into a position and then be like, this is fine. Take some time, breathe, relax. Again, I'm going to talk about breath work a little bit later this week, but if it when in doubt, deep breaths. Think, soften. If this is kind of a big pillow, but you could use a pillow. I would recommend a slightly smaller one, but you could roll it up and use that as well. Again, if you don't have some of these tools, I do recommend, finding some stuff. But if you're like, yoga tune-up seems like too much, like I said, Google or look on Amazon for any kind of massage tools, and you can find hundreds of them. Sometimes it's hard to tell, like, this one's really soft and I like that, but like, it's hard to tell, like, is this going to be really hard? This one's pretty hard. It's a little air-filled. It can be hard to tell online. You can kind of play. If you have one that you really like, put it in the comments and let people know, like, hey, I bought this one on Amazon. It was $2 or whatever. But that works as well. Like, let's share this info with each other. Okay, so we did a little bit of rolling out the psoas. But I'm going to show you a way to stretch the front of the hips. Again, this is a good, like, end of the day, or do it 10 times a day. But that we can get some stretching for that area again. If we're sitting a little bit more, because we don't have to spend time, commuting or walking to wherever, the grocery store, the gym, the bus. So, so you might be spending a little more time, even, maybe you stand and work, but then, look, I sit on my floor all the time, but I do sit on my couch and watch television. So, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm better, but, like, we all sit on the couch. It's fine. No judgment. So here's something that you can do if your hips are feeling locked up, or just in general, it could be a nice low back thing. Let's figure out how to do this best. Okay. So sacrum is top part of the pelvis. I'm going to point at it. This right here. So it's kind of like the flat part. It's kind of like the bottom of the low back. It's, depends on, mine's a little bit bigger, but, people's are different sizes. I'm going to put this block, or you're going to use your books, in that spot. So, working there. And then I'm going to straighten one leg and bend the other. So one leg is straight, one leg is bent. And I'm holding on to that. I can hold on to the shin, You can hold on to the back of the leg. If you can't reach your leg, you can use a strap from your bathrobe, or a tie, or a belt, or if you don't have like a band or a yoga strap, it's totally fine. The idea is to straighten. So awkward. So it's really hard to tell here, but I want to get a good angle. The straight leg, the heel is lower than the hip because I've lifted my hips up in the air. They're under that yoga block, right? So I'm getting passive extension in the hip. So my hip is opening up a little bit. So that's why we want to keep the foot on the ground rather than letting it float in the air. If you can let it rest on the ground. I've seen people do this stretch on like the side of the bed or the couch. It's a little more awkward that way. I like doing it this way on the floor. Try it out. Let me know. You could do, like I said, stack of books works great because you're not moving around. So it, make sure it's a pretty stable stack, but at the same time, it's okay if it falls over. Or like if it's, you're not going to fall too far. We're not like running around or doing anything crazy. Okay. So we got rolling out of the psoas. We got a stretch of the psoas. Great for it. Sean says he used a foam roller before. That's a good idea too. The one thing about that is like, I'm always like, oh, it's a little unstable and I have to use my abs and I'm lazy. I'm always like, laying on. But absolutely, I've actually used the Coregeous ball under my hips too. That works. So anything that elevates your hips, but then lets the leg kind of drape on the floor, totally great. So, get creative, whatever you have in your house. I've had some, I've had a request already. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about some shoulder stuff. And yes, absolutely. I'm all about like making it as easy as possible. And we'll talk about like ways to, make sure we're not all going to end up here in this protective way of typing. So we'll do some shoulder rollout tomorrow. But if you have questions, if you have requests, just anything else, like I said, share your favorite podcast in the comments. Share, some ideas, other ideas for tools that you use at home for, because I'm sure lots of you are like super creative and use things that I haven't even thought of. So, let us know. I'm Katie at oldcitycrossfit.com. Again, put it in the comments, email me, get in touch, however you want. And we'll keep meeting up in the morning. Like I said, we'll keep working on me being less weird in these videos. And and I think we're good. Have a great day, y'all. Stay safe, healthy. Remember your 3 homework assignments. So you can post here and say, I did those. Oh, yeah. Nice. That was a good thought, but not for this. It could work if you were using it for balancing. But it's probably going to get squished pretty fast. I like that. Again, creative, but absolutely. It's why I don't like foam blocks as much, because I feel like once we stand on them, they just collapse. Okay. You guys are awesome. Thank you for tuning in, and stay connected. And I will see you guys later. Bye.